what were some like pivotal challenges and triumphs for you during this PhD?
As the lab grew, we applied for more grants, and Dr. Cox was very resourceful in getting funding. This lab got pretty reasonably well funded for where we were. So we went from the first year having very low resources, almost nothing, to being able to afford pretty good experiments as we evolved. The first pivotal moment was me figuring out a solution for a common problem and inventing that. One professor who influenced me quite a bit in the same ecosystem, Dr. Ancha Baranova. She was a professor who was teaching one of the courses in biotechnology. She was very resourceful. I learned a lot. And when I mentioned to her once that I have made this device and so on, she said, "Hey, you should patent it." And she immediately set up a meeting with the patenting office. That really helped me. That was how I basically got started with my first patent. If she had not promoted and my PhD advisor had not supported me, I wouldn't have perhaps even had my first patent. I didn't think it was worthy of patenting personally. I just thought it was a thing that I would just do, but somebody else saw the value. The second was there was an important challenge. Everybody is trying to study cells in a tissue level and so on, but this new technology of isolating single cells. From my rotation on the laser capture microdissection lab, my PhD advisor was interested to see can we isolate single cells and do profiling of them. And so he knew that I liked these hard problems and he said, "Do you want to try this out?" So that was perfect. I could go to my previous lab where I had interned. They were kind enough to give me access to a new instrument, which is very expensive, trusted me with that. And my task was to figure out how to cut single cells that are single types of neurons and isolate their transcriptome and amplify them without a bias and do a microarray was the thing. Next-gen sequencing had not come or it was just barely getting innovated. I learned so much fundamentally from that space. In fact, once I was doing this technique, the technique seemed to work the first time and everybody got excited. This is a good lesson here. Everybody got excited and let's do more. And once I started doing more, it never worked after that. And it was really, really embarrassing. And I knew it worked the first time and I could get it to work. And then after 2 months or so, I was starting to think what's happening here. I know I had, and luckily I had made detailed notes of everything and I went and looked at every parameter. Then once I was working late evening and I got very frustrated and I went outside because it started to work and then it stopped working again. I went outside and I realized that it was fogging up and the humidity was increasing. Oh, it could be something with the humidity. Then I got a humidity meter, kept it in locally, and I realized it was correlated to the humidity when it works versus not. And I was able to crack that problem.